this is who I am outside of all that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're a great host, Will. But yeah, I think.
All right, you earned your paycheck. You can get out of here now.
How much do I get paid for this again? No. When I was choosing my name, so I think I was like 11, and I was like loading up Halo 2, start getting my Xbox Live membership going, and I was like, what's a cool name? And so then I was like, you know, really like trying to think about something cool. So I walk downstairs and I see my sister has a Zion National Park book. I'm like, Zion?
Oh, shit.
There's something there. And then I go upstairs and then the Spartan comes from Halo. And then I think when I was playing Call of Duty and stuff, I'd throw like a couple X's on both sides. So it'd be like XX Zion Spartan XX.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Zion? I went last year for the first time.
I've never
National
went.
Park. Oh, shit, gotta go.
National parks are great, though. I once got lost in a national park.
That doesn't sound like a positive story.
Can we get the Cliff Notes?
I went to Arches National Park in Utah, and basically there's two trails. There's like the easy trail, and then there was like wilderness difficulty trail. And I was there with my girlfriend, and I was like, you know, I think we should go on the easy trail.
You got lost on the easy trail?
No. And then she was like, well, you know, you always like a challenge. And I'm like, all right, fine, like, let's go take the hard one. And then 40 minutes later, we're like scrambling up the side of a mountain, and then we have to like jump over like a crevice to like climb up this tree, and then we get to the top. But then the sun's setting. And then I just see a deer staring at, like a big ass deer with just like huge horns, and I'm like, take a breath. This is gonna be a long night. One ranger was available, and one other person had to get called up to come save us. But would do it again.
I was straight up naked and afraid.
I would bring a compass. But going back to my name, the reason why I went back to Darshan was like, I feel like it's nicer to just have something like more direct and comfortable. And like just being known by one thing is easier, you know? It like feels weird. Like when someone calls me by my screen name, it doesn't feel as like personal as like my real name.
That's kind of how I think I was initially. Like everything was kind of all in one. But what I found is that, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like the perception for like what people see, oftentimes I feel like doesn't match up with exactly like, you know, what I'm trying to put out there. You never know. Maybe one random clip of something from your stream ends up on Reddit, and now all of a sudden like you're just known as this thing forever. Or like a random Riot video about your teacher. Yeah,
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, and so you like all just being the one dude.
Yeah. I mean, easier said than done, right? Not letting things that happen define you. Like the even as teacher thing, like you mentioned, like I played EUS solo queue, and that's what almost everyone, just like memeing with like the teacher joke, because everyone remembers that. So I think that's something you have to be mindful of, but I think you don't want to live life worrying about things. And I know like when you're like popular or famous to some degree, right? That kind of is always something that's there.
Yeah.
Darshan, you don't actually pronounce it Darshan, right? So like, how would you prefer people?
It's a can of worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I think I've just went by Darsh. So I grew up in America for most of my life. So I just always went by Darshan in like elementary school, middle school, high school. And that's what most people call me. But technically the correct way to pronounce my name is actually Darshan. There's like a, yeah, like that's just the correct way to pronounce it. But I don't really mind either way.
You don't mind?
Like my parents and my brother and sister call me that. And then like Sven will randomly be like, Darshan, every time he sees me. It's like,
Okay. Wait, can I try it and you tell me if it's right?
yeah, good.
Darshan. Say
That. I feel like I'm back in like middle school or high school, but no, we can do this. We can do this. So it's like Darshan,
Darshan.
and then say it together.
Darshan.
Closer. We'll probably have to do this one.
No,
off.
okay,
Yeah, we don't have to do it right
Next
now.
slide.
Okay.
This is gonna create another terrible meme for him. You're gonna go to EUS, everyone's gonna be like, his teacher even calls him Darshan.
Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
I feel that.
All right, guys, and I'm asking you the same question, because it actually happened fairly recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Kaizen, and then you were like primal for like 2 days.
I know.
And then you went back.
It can see you like that.
You actually switched your real name to Kaisen.
I did,
And I remember
yeah.
reading about it on Twitter.
Yeah, so
Oh, switch name, homies.
yeah, switch names? Yeah, for real. So I've gone by a bunch of different names in both like real life and gaming. My birth name is Derek, which is now my middle name. And there's nothing wrong with the name Derek, but I'd never really I always felt like, if it's my name, why don't I get to choose it? I also felt like I wanted a name that represented what I want to stand for. And so I came across the name Kaizen when I was reading a book. and it's a Japanese word for, it's actually a term for a Japanese manufacturing / business process. But it also has been extrapolated to other parts of just life, and it means continuous improvement or change for the good. And as someone who, I've changed a lot over time, like physically, like mental health-wise, got things straightened out, like in a lot of different ways. I felt like the name Kaizen represented me. And then a few weeks ago, I was like, why do I have this other name? Like, Kaizen's a dope name, so I'm just gonna use my name. So yeah, it's a whole thing, but I'm just gonna be Kaizen for foreseeable future.
I like that.
Thanks.
When I came onto this earth, my parents, my mother specifically, wanted to call me Challo, but my dad wanted to call me Parento, mostly because of the idea that no one's gonna say his name right, they're gonna butcher his name, they're gonna bully him in school, and all his name is calling him Challo, because like you have to, yeah, people can just say cello, and that's not gonna be an issue. But
How's
you know,
that spelled?
Oh God, C-A-A-L-L, or is it C-A-L-L-O-O?
C-A-L-L-O.
So it's cello. So it's like you're never gonna be able to spell it right based off that.
C-A-L-L-O-O?
Yeah, C-A-L-L-O-O. So I've actually used
Kaloo.
that. Yes, exactly. Exactly. I've used that actually as my summoner name or something like a few times. So I've used that also in finding Razzleplasm. But yeah, so I went with Barento, but obviously people are just gonna say Barento. So but like I've never cared about it. So,
Are you Ethiopian, Raz?
yes.
Okay, cool. Because you have the accent down as well.
Yeah, so I'm Oromo, which is the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. Fun thing, culturally, I have an endless middle last name because it's just based off of my forefathers' like
Your
first
name is ridiculously long.
So yeah, it's I can't say it, but it's like a point of pride for my father and my brother to like go off and say every name. So what I can say is Brento, Hamid, Usman, Ulbeid, Gaba, Roba. Yeah, I don't know.
It's like
But
digits of pi.
it's just, it keeps going. So I'm, but I'm cool with Brento Mohammed.
Frost, you changed your real name, like your legal name, right?
Kind of in like a similar vein of it feels like you kind of hear the same repeating stories throughout esports. I wasn't very close to my family, and I didn't feel appropriate to carry the name that was given to me by my family that feel like they didn't want me. Like I didn't feel like Devin, and it didn't have any good memories. So I just decided that I was gonna like completely scrap it and just come up with my own name. And I picked Indiana because growing up, I really loved watching Indiana Jones.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Indiana's a cool name.
Yeah, it is a cool name, yeah, for sure. And what about Froskuren?
It's Icelandic for the frog, so if you say Froskir, it just means frog. Yeah. As I was starting to do LPL broadcasts, my girlfriend and I at the time were trying to learn Icelandic. And so I just happened to do animals when I was just picking the name. And that was, I guess, kind of like at the time when I got the job with like the ESL, I just happened to be Froskuren at that time. And now I'm like, oh, cut the urine. And now I just usually go for Frost.
Froskuren.
Too much urine.
Man, I feel like you guys all have way cooler name origin stories than I do.
Wait, if you could choose your name, Will, would you still go by Will, or what would you name yourself?
I like Will. So there's me, who's like, I'm named William, and then my brother's Daniel. And part of the reasons my parents picked those names is because you kind of had like a Pokemon-style evolution of the names where like, when we were really young, it was like Billy and Danny. And so like when I was young, I went by Billy. And like, I'm gonna probably regret saying this because then people are gonna start calling me Billy, which, I mean, whatever.
Good call, Billy.
Thank you. Yeah, so then it was like, you know, Billy when you're young, Will when you're like middle-aged, and like William for professional stuff. And you know, Danny, Dan, Daniel style thing. But what was really messed up with my parents is my middle name's Robert. So the nickname for both those names, Billy Bob. Which is just the worst name. And I know I'm going to regret saying this.
Billy Bob.
Hey, you could be rich.
You know what's hilarious? Like, knowing Frost behind like a computer screen really early on in the days, like of LPL Leanne and all these things. I was like, wow, she's an extrovert. Like she's really out
Where
there.
are you going, Raz?
And then I start like working with you in Australia. I think that was the first time we actually like met each other and worked each other. Biggest introvert I've ever met. I'm always behind a computer screen, behind her doors. Like, but those are great times.
Was the first thing you guys worked on together LPL?
No, it was China Talk.
China Talk,
Talk, okay.
yes. So for me, at that time, I spent my time in university like writing about, like watching LPL and mostly like LSPL, so like this is the secondary league. So I was just writing about it on my blog, just out there on
Why?
Twitter, just because, just for the sake of it. And then that's how I met Kelsey, and then I met you as well, just through that alone, just being a Twitter shit poster in a way.
Good way to meet friends.
There it is.
Kelsey was writing for LOL Esports at the time, and we lived together, and I think Riot asked either she covers the LMS or she covers the LPL, and she almost did the LMS, and she decided to do the LPL because she was a big IPL 5 fan, watching Wei Zhao and WE. And just through kind of osmosis of being in the space, she really got me into Chinese League of Legends, because I was a really big Gambit fan. I was a huge Alex Ish fan, and she's like, there's a region full of Moscow 5. And Kelsey wanted to create an English broadcast of the LPL because there wasn't one, and I was the caster that she knew, so she asked me and Pyra if we would do it. And so our schedule became that we would do China Talks every week, and then at evenings we would start casting the LPL, and then we'd sleep for maybe an hour, and then I'd wake up, go to work. Then in the afternoon, I'd cast ESL Pro Series, and then I'd cast LPL again.
Damn, you were all in.
So that was 24 hours.
It was.
Yeah. I came in after my time at Dignitas North America. I got an email from Jake from Spawn if I wanted to cast LPL at that time. And I was like, that is life experience right there. I took the opportunity, and I was like, hey, you know what? 1 year, if it works, then great, I can continue down this path. If it doesn't, then I'll just go back to school. And that was awesome. It was a lot of commentary at that time.
We are in Pride Month.
What the fuck?
And Frosk, I saw you put out a video talking about your general views on the meaning of the month, corporations' engagement with the entire project of recognizing Pride for different communities. I was wondering how do you feel about Pride Month in general?
That's a loaded question.
Take wherever you want.
We can talk about no. I mean, I don't know. I think that. What do I actually think? When I was in high school, I got bashed with a bat for being gay, and I was one of maybe 3 out people. I lived in a fairly liberal area, but just kind of conservative surroundings. When I went to different countries, I was in Australia and I got refused service outside of Sydney, but just kind of these surreal things. And I definitely think that obviously we've come a very long way in 2021, but I'm always just we could be doing better. We could be doing more. And so when I made that video, it just kind of comes from a place of I was really tired of people seeing the only way that they would engage in Pride Month to basically shit all over it. Just well, actually, these corporations don't really give a fuck about you. They're just, and I'm like, yeah, of course the corporations don't give a fuck about me, but it's still kind of nice to see gay shit everywhere and feel fabulous, because then it at least tells me that it's, mainstream, viable, you can make money off of being gay. And that's way better than what it used to be. It used to be you'd make money off of getting rid of the gays. So.
I get some people think that, and I mean, probably some companies do just strictly want to get a monetary gain out of Pride Month stuff. But at the same time, I think it's great because, like you were saying, gay people do still to this day face pretty blatant discrimination for something that is really pretty troll to discriminate against. It's why does anyone care? It's in the ideal world, I feel once people stop being discriminated against for being gay, you probably don't need to have companies Rainbow Everywhere, Pride Month, and trying to monetize off of it. But that's just not the reality we're in.
People get too comfortable within their own perspectives. And I think that's always an issue. Because it's also the same conversation with like Black History Month. But you just have to recognize, okay, good for you. If this is not dominating your life, if this is not your view, it's not about you. It's literally like, all you have to do is either read an article, travel a little bit of distance across the street. Like, it impacts a lot of people across the nation, right? So the goal is, of course, to get to a point in society, like you said, Will, where it's like, you don't need that month. It's just the norm.
Absolutely.
And also, you go first.
No, you go, Russ.
I was about to say, because also, I heard about the bad treatment, and also, like, it's hard for people to even come out to like their family or to their friends and loved ones. So I don't know if you're comfortable like talking about your story, about like how you came out.
Coming out?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just lame.
What?
It's not even a good story.
Oh, no.
Might not be lame to everyone else.
What? No.
Exactly, normalizing it.
Yeah.
There was a really funny moment where I was making out with my girlfriend in, and I'm not joking, my mother's closet. It was like a long walk-in closet. That's a free joke. And my brother like walked in on us. He like saw, and I wasn't like publicly out to my mom, and I was like, oh, fuck, he's gonna tell my mom I'm absolutely dead. And I was just like dreading it the whole day. And then that night, I found out that my brother, he didn't see at all. He was like, he's just super up close to and he asked for glasses. And so I was
What?
like, yeah, I was totally in the clear. I sweat that entire day. But no, I can't even remember how my mother found out. And then she like told my dad, and I couldn't even say the word gay for like years. She was like, are you gay? And I was just like, but what I was gonna say, the discrimination thing, I think it's easy to have a conversation with people talking about kind of like discrimination or oppression, because I think it's very like contextual. And, you know, I agree with you that there are different like, and people hate this word, like different privileges that we have. Like, I am privileged because I am white and I am wealthy and I get to kind of reach up into these things. But like contextually, there will always be some place where we don't quite fit in. If you were a father and you went to court and tried to get rights over your son, you would probably face more discrimination or oppression in trying to get rights over your child than a woman would. And so that could be a scenario where a straight white man could obviously face discrimination. And so I think if we agree with that, we should be able to agree with the fact that people can face discrimination and it's all just like contextually dependent. But I think we spend so much time arguing whether or not it exists as opposed to trying to fix it. And that's why I'm just like, man, you guys are on like page 1. I'm on like book 6. Like, hurry up, turn the page. I'm tired. I just want to fix this shit.
I have a question for you. This is gonna be great, so you'll enjoy this.
He looks nervous.
I mean, the way it's being brought up.
No, I'm ready for anything. Shoot away, Russ.
So you've been in the scene for, you said 9 years, right?
Yeah, almost getting to that decade, the Big Ten.
So what is your take on just like development in an academy structure, like right now? Because I have like my feeling on it, and I want to hear yours.
Well, I think it's a lot better now than it was at the beginning, because academy at the beginning, I don't even know if there was coaches for academy at the beginning. Like, I don't even know what was happening. And now it's like there's offices, there's coaches, there's infrastructure in place. But I feel like there is a lot of misconceptions about what is actually effective practice versus like you're burning yourself out, or the way you're being taught the game isn't the most efficient way to learn the game. So I feel like it's improving, but I think there's still like so many fundamental misconceptions about what makes an athlete great, right? Because I kind of see any game you play, whether it's League of Legends, Fortnite, whatever it is, if you want to be the best, you kind of, it's a craft.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be the best, you have to play 12 to 16 hours of League a day. You just have to play scrims. After scrims, you're expected to grind solo queue, and then that's how you improve. Like, I think that's what a lot of people think, but I think the truth is a lot farther from that. And if you look at like basketball, football, like other sports, they don't, I mean, they can't physically do 12 hours of football, right?
Yep.
But they don't, it's a lot more about like intentional practice and like having, like trying to actively work on something, or at least being very present.
Yeah.
So like there's a thing called the flow state, right? Which is kind of like, very simply, it's like your awareness or your focus and the task at hand are one. There's nothing else on your mind. There's no distractions. You're just completely immersed in your craft or whatever you're doing.
What are other things that you do to just try to cultivate, the maximally present headspace and like trying to get into flow?
I think like the Dalai Lama said something like, if everyone did 20 minutes of meditation a day, like something like the world would be like a much better place, essentially. I strongly believe that. And I think meditation really helped me kind of recognize that I can live my life more in the present. I don't have to do things a certain way, and I can kind of like live my life with more flow, right? And I think that's the whole point for me in meditation, is realizing that not everything is a means to an end. You can just like slow down and enjoy where you are right now.
That really resonated with me, because for me, meditation is like the thing I think has changed my life the most, and just allowed me to recognize that all you really ever have is the present moment.
For me, I'd been playing for 9 years, right? And then like, I had no idea what burnout was. I would just play scrims and play solo queue every single day for years. And then eventually all of a sudden, I'm realizing I'm having trouble sleeping. Like I can't sleep as well, but like I don't really feel stressed. But like I didn't really understand that much about burnout, how to manage stress. I didn't really understand that much about how to actually be a top performer. My journey from when I was playing at the beginning and how I became a pro was just, all I did was go to high school and play games. I think at then, that was kind of the level of mastery I knew. But I think as League of Legends develops, as it's developing now, I think there's a lot more we can do to make this not only like sustainable, but actually just a better quality of life. And I think we're heading in a better direction, but I think there's still a lot more to go.
Yeah.
Was your path in esports toward being like analytical and casting, was that all planned, or did you have a different role that you envisioned for yourself in the space?
No, I tried to go pro originally. I only made it to Diamond 1 and was never going to be good enough.
That's pretty good. Diamond 1?
Yeah.
What role?
Oh, I was a jungler.
Oh, okay.
Cool. What kind of junglers?
Shyvana.
I see.
I remember I had tryouts for a team called Fornot, and
Oh my God.
yeah, One Bad Brad and Bloodwater were on the team. And
Holy shit! And they let you try out as a one trick? Is that typical? That one tricks get
it was a
tried
wild
out?
time back then.
Okay.
At least nowadays, one tricks don't usually get so far as to like the.
You're not allowed
man, like
You can't.
like Fudge. Show me what you got. Who's your champ, bro? Like,
I was a one trick. I just kept changing the trick. So,
Was it champion?
so I started off as a Skarner one trick, then Jarvan, then Hecarim, and then I just kept.
I
learning
have
Hecarim.
already formed an opinion about you as a player.
Oh yeah. What's your read?
That you're not actually mechanically very good,
Nope.
because none of those champions require any sort of mechanic, and all you do is run people down. So you're like a feast or famine player. You're either like popping off like 17-0, or you are absolutely tanking the game.
That sounds about right.
You're dead too, Mashby! What's up, bitch? everyone, and happy Father's Day to all the dynamite dads out there. We've got this lovely mural that is set up on the side of us. Had a little guess who in some cases, trying to figure out.
The only one we're unsure about is bottom right. I think we've pieced together the rest of them, but bottom right has to let us know who that is in there.
Yeah,
It's
call
just
it.
some random guy and his dad.
It's not even from the broadcast.
Stuck it in there to like mess with us. So like, oh my God.
Yeah, or again, it's
Azale
apparently
dash
Captain
off
Flowers.
screen yelled Azale. Maybe that's who it is.
Yeah.
Hearing
It is
though-
Flowers. Producers.
Yeah.
Okay, Flowers it
Okay.
is.
All right.
Cool.
We got it.
We solved the mystery. It doesn't surprise me. Emily's already getting read to over there with her big brain up in the top corner.
I
But
was such a cute kid. What
you
happened?
were. Anyway, we got Mark, we got Emily, we got Kaizen, we got the dads, we got them all. But not only is it Father's Day, it's Sunday Fun Day, baby. We got big matches with big implications for our standings, including we've got this little three-way tie going on here for second place.
We do, and this is really exciting because we get to see the top 4 teams all play each other today. You know, it's the end of the 3rd round robin of the year, end of the 1st round robin of Summer Split. So at the end of the day, I mean, these 4 teams are all 1 game apart. Someone's gonna be at the top.
I'm stoked that's that close. I feel like it very easily could have been one of these situations like one team's dominant and is like 22 wins and no one else is close to them, which we sometimes see that. So it's really cool to have all 4 within this one game.
Perfectly timed, too, considering we are at the end of this round robin.
Yeah, absolutely. So it feels like a mini checkpoint to see where people's power level is at. So I have some thoughts on what I'm gonna see, but I'm excited to just see with the results.
Well, let's get into some of the stuff we saw this weekend. Looking at Cloud9.
Yeah, Cloud9 lost yesterday, second loss on the Renekton, and I think it's time for Perks to hang that one up. He himself has tweeted a similar thing about the champion that, you know, he doesn't think he should be playing it. He has a champion Ocean, all right? Perks can play so many champions, it's incredible. This just isn't one of them. This is this is the sandbar in the ocean that you just gotta learn to avoid. Stay out of there. It's not even just like, oh, you know, sometimes you lose on a champ, it's like small sample size. I think, you know, watching the game enough times now, it's like, all right, this just isn't quite the match for him for some reason.
I'm sad. As a big like mid Renekton proponent, especially coming as an LPL viewer, it makes me sad. You know, I love the mid Renekton actually.
They're clearly trying to make it work. They want it to be a thing, but even Perks recognizing that it might not be up his wheelhouse. But things are going hot for CLG in recent times.
They are, Gabby, aren't they? Yeah, so CLG finally found something that works for them, and it turns out is just press R comps. Like, press R good, we're gonna pick Vi, we're gonna pick Kled, we're gonna make the team fighting super straightforward. So I love to see it, and I'm gonna say right now, CLG is gonna go 3-0 this weekend.
Woo!
Oh, I think that CLG fans can get behind that. We do actually have them coming up in our first match of the day, so let's go ahead and dive into it. They're facing off against Dignitas Quantum Pay, and both of these teams are really looking to stabilize here in summer.
Yeah, I mean, so I love when teams run these crazy team compositions because I'm always like, you come up against the hubris, right? Like, are you going to ban out the Galio? Are you going to ban out the Vi? And just be like, we can see you on OP picks, but not this comp? Or are you going to keep saying, you know, we think we have an answer that these first 2 teams didn't, obviously. So I'm very curious to see. You see the compositions up there. I think the Galio is kind of the most must ban there, in my opinion. However, that is the big thing I want to see is, are Dignitas going to ban out this comp? Are they going to ban the Galio?
I hope they do, because when you look at this comp, you know, like, there's parts that can easily be interchanged. There's so many engaged supports right now.
Yep.
That could be an Alistar, that could be a Rel, it could be anything. Same with the top lane. We already saw that transition even though it wasn't banned. The Kalista is a little unique, but either way, the Galio from mid gives a lot of pressure in the early game, or not really pressure, but priority to be able to go collapse on the Scuttle Crabs and support the Vi, which can also be changed out for the Sejuani or something. I mean, there's so many champs right now that can also engage from the jungle.
And it was funny because I saw Invert tweeted that he was like, okay, like where where's the hubris here? You know, I'm interested on people's thoughts. And he, not so coincidentally, is part of the Dignitas coaching staff for Academy. So I am very curious to see if this is just, you know, polling the people.
Get online. You control Dignitas's draft.
What are we going to do with the draft? I just thought this was kind of a funny call. I don't actually think he was searching for answers.
No, they're serious.
Yeah, the majority of fans voted no, right? So I think he should just listen to the fans.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to figure something out, right? On the side of Dignitas, we have been facing the switch up in the jungle position.
Yeah, we have, and you know, no one knows why people have speculated that's out of game. But if we look in game, Dardoch has sort of been the fulcrum for this Dignitas lineup. You know, everyone's been talking about the Dardoch A to Z jungle challenge, him distilling up champion Ocean game over game, and that's been a lot of what has made Dignitas so effective game after game. They have so many different ways that they can come at you. You know, with the Xin pick, we saw the Kayn last split as well. So now Acadian's coming in. He's a solid LCS level jungler for sure. But you know, now with all the changes that they've made to mid and jungle, there'll be a lot that Dignitas will have to retool to figure out what their style is.
I was gonna say, it's tough to say because Dardoch was someone that they game planned so much around. It felt like with these unique champion picks that not only the draft flexibility, but in game, like, okay, level 1, are they going to invade Dardoch? Let's have 5 men here ready to defend him. You know, like there were so many plays like that from spring that happened, and now when you bring in Acadian, you're not just talking about like skill comparisons or whatever. You're also looking at like, well, what is the team going to do now? Who is the person that they're keying off of for their strategies in the early game?
Yeah, and on top of that, Dardoch was positioned as a leader of this team, right? And I would say Acadian had a solid game last game, but you could clearly see that Dignitas was not as coordinated as we typically expect them to be. They're sort of this team that, you know, has reasonable early games, but late game, their team fighting is where they really start to shine. And with that key leadership out of pocket, it's clear that Dignitas is sort of having to refigure out, like, how do they play these team fight situations.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I brought this up yesterday, but I think, I mean, if they do stick with Acadian, part of the coordination has to be around the team fighting, right? Because we really want to see this team come together. I actually do love the Diana pick. It's a risky pick, but I actually really like it when it works. It works really well. So if they're gonna stick with that, increased coordination will also help with that because she does, as we talked about their team composition yesterday, rely a lot on the entire team being well coordinated enough to go off of the Diana ult, and then everyone is going in, and then hopefully you have enough damage to kill everyone.
And that is something that you have to note because Acadian being on the Diana, I don't think anyone is saying it's his fault that they lost the game. It's the coordination and also just getting shut down early to not have those advantages.
Yeah, it was a rough game. I'm hoping that we see a little bit better showing this time around, especially with the draft we were talking about. Please ban the Galio. Please get rid of the Vi. I don't want to see this comp again as much as Kaizen wants to.
I vehemently disagree, Mark. But
I love the bongo comp, honestly. Like,
bongo it up, baby.
Keep bringing it out.
Yeah, keep bringing it out. Yeah, and you know, to speak honestly about CLG, you know, it's not like we haven't seen them have good looks early game. You know, we saw them on the Lee Sin with Broxa. That's sort of a specialty of his, and consistently they are able to produce some leads early. But when it comes to mid and late, they start to have coordination issues, which the bongo comp, I think we're calling it, sort of removes the difficulty.
It gives you automatic coordination.
Yeah, there you go. Just all press R at the same time. So it's a good look for CLG.
Low-key, it was Kaizen actually on that poll with 80 different accounts saying, no, don't ban. Don't ban. All right, we're ready to get into game. Let's send things over to our very own Doug Duo and dive into today's action. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, the Tigers. Welcome, everyone, to the caster desk. I'm excited to bring you the first 3 games of the day with the one and only Azael.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I wanted to say Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to you as well.
And to all the dads out there. I feel like you're kind of like the League of Legends dad, you know?
Sure.
Season 1 Worlds was in your basement.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, basically birthed this game.
Yeah, it's all me. No one else gets any credit. I am the one with ownership and patronage. So I
must be nice.
You know, it's great. I've got hundreds of millions of really petulant children. It's outstanding. You know, I've just been around. Call me Genghis Khan, maybe. I don't know.
Their dad.
So here's the thing. All right, CLG is facing Dignitas, and CLG they were 1-5. And now they've won 2 games in a row. They clapped 100 Thieves, which I still believe are the best team in the league, and they had a really convincing win over, I believe it was Evil Geniuses yesterday. And CLG fans, you're up against Dignitas now. They have looked really, really bad with the roster changes in the last few weeks. So CLG fans, you know what's coming next. you know what's coming next.
They're about to get perfect games.
They're about to get perfect game by Dignitas here because that is the premier CLG thing to do, which I feel bad for, but you know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, the big question after those 2 games, and I talked about this yesterday, I think we casted that game, is the idea of, are you now a better team, or are you just really good at one comp, right? At one style.
Right.
And if that style is banned away, can you find ways to emulate it? So Galio is going to be taken off the table, Lucian taken off the table, so 2 bans already thrown the way of Pope Elter. People kind of identifying Galio as the key component. I actually think Vi is also very important. It's just you can reach backline so incredibly easy.
Yeah.
Will they even be willing to run the Vi without the Galio is an interesting question, though. And Gwen, again, banned on blue side. So a lot of teams, kind of interesting, you know, not willing to play into it, but not comfortable enough to allow it to go over to the red side. That does feel like a hole in some of the teams' game. I do feel like if there's an OP that you feel you must ban on blue side, then there's kind of something wrong.
Yeah, unless you believe Gwen is only the 2nd best champ in the game, and you're like, no, Lee Sin is the best champ in the game. We will first pick Lee Sin, and we don't want you to get number 2. You're not going to allow to pick Gwen. Like, in those lenses, if that's your view, I accept any blue side ban, right? If you're not the best champ in the game, go ahead and ban it on blue because you're taking number 1 and you don't want to give up number 2. I buy that. Karma, I don't think she is the best champ in the game, but like a lot of teams do have high priority. We've seen a lot of first pick Karma games.
Yeah, and it does kind of shape compositions in a similar way to, like, obviously very different styles, but, you know, Galio is like, you're going to enable all the dive. Karma is more about, okay, speed up, peel back, re-engage with the 2nd round of those Mantra shields. It allows for a lot of hyper carries to kind of be brought in and really emphasize, whether it's carrying through jungle, if you want to go for an aggressive jungle pick, or it is more commonly through your marksman in the bot lane. Xin plus Karma is a very common pairing here. CLG is getting aggressive with their engage options already. Lee Sin, you want to talk about as a solo laner, but because it's Broxa, he has been very good at it. It could be going to the jungle. Obviously, Turtle on his Kalista, very proficient here. And you could still pair up with an aggressive engage support to be able to have even more engage options. It's maybe not the full send of the Galio style, but it is something that can dive in, and Dignitas clearly is drafting something that can peel back, it feels like, to be able to answer what they're anticipating is going to come out from CLG.
Absolutely. Of course, we already knew it was answer. The question was, can CLG run the same comp 3 games in a row? Obviously, Galio was banned. The Lee Sin grab doesn't completely preclude Vi, and they might leave it up as a flex for a while and grab support here and wait because, hey, maybe that's still a possibility down the line, and they really is a mid lane replacement. Like, what if he pulls up full Doinby and we get Malphite mid or something, you know?
You know, the other thing I was going to say is, I mean, that would be exciting, but there's also very different options that can reach backline in different ways, right? So when you think about, okay, you want to dive backline, all right, you're going to go Malphite or Kled or Galio, but you can also play, guess what, Xerath, Ziggs, champions that just stand way back, but they can still reach backline, right? Ziggs is actually very powerful right now. If you throw the Nautilus into the backline, you hit them with a point-and-click R, you drop the Ziggs bomb on their head, guess what? That's still challenging the backline, just in a different way. So I want to see if CLG has any of those looks prepared, or if they will just now default to, all right, it's Orianna, or it's Victor.
Yep. Yeah, like that would be a full turn for CLG if it's like, yep, it's Victor mid, and we're playing, I'm just going to say Darius because he doesn't really do much more than hit frontline himself, like, you know, a Mordekaiser or something. It's like, yeah, we're just team fighting you now. Have fun. So Braum, Leona, both off the table. So not getting rid of all the Shepherds, but certainly Braum a very good defensive support. Leona would be more for the engage, but it means that they think Karma is likely to be mid. I mean, it's the 100 Thieves special, right? Is Karma mid Xin Zhao jungle? That's how they got to or one of their wins, I should say, back in week 1. So they're holding that as a possibility that Yusui's taking that mid.
Yeah, I always like, if you are flexible as the Dignitas side, when you see someone overcommit to support bans, right? They have 3 support bans, essentially. They ban Lulu, Lulu, Braum, as well as Leona. So then just allow Aphromoo to play the Karma, essentially throw those bans in the garbage, and pick for your solo lane, something else. Like, I always think that can be a really nice job, you know, as far as the draft change-ups do go.
Set likely in the top lane, still can be flexible. Look at the 2-1-2 right now, assuming the Karma is going down there. Obviously, in a lot of cases, you say, okay, Ezreal Karma, usually pretty safe. People have to push pressure. If you're running Garden and Exhaust, you're maybe not getting all in. Kalista maybe just turns the numbers enough that because she's so good early game, that even through Exhaust, even through Barrier, or Guardian, like maybe there's just enough damage that Nautilus Callista can threaten the all-in, and suddenly you can't quite play that 2-on-2 aggressive. Indeed, Alistar comes through instead. Karma is going to a solo after all. The support bans were well lined up, saying that the matchup wasn't going to look good on the Karma side, so it is still a solo lane flex, but we're going to have Dignitas lock that in shortly with their 5th and final pick.
Yeah, and finding out, is it mid, is it top? It is going to be mid Karma, pairing up with the Xin, as you called, along that 100 Thieves style. You have GP top. This does feel like, yes, you have some engage, but largely this composition wants to kite back. As your opponents go in, you drop the GP ulti, use the Xin Zhao ultimate to try to really kind of break things up. You kite back with the Mantra Shield.
Ooh! You mentioned them.
Okay.
What are the possibilities?
One of the other possibilities, you know, I didn't call this one specifically, but there are other champions that can do similar things. It is not a one-to-one, but you have set top. That is one of the things that they played actually with their Galio composition. They're bringing in Lissandra. So CLG are saying, yes, it is not about the champion, it is about the style. And this is a very similar style. It is looking for those kicks in from Broxa. It is a powerful lockdown and setup with the mid-jungle 2v2. Set to follow it up. You can throw Nautilus in. He can follow it up. So it's all about piling in the backline. Lissandra does similar things. You do have some of the AoE CC with the root on your W. Of course, targeted lockdown with the ultimate. You can also just kind of use zone control with the self ultimate, which is kind of similarly creating this zone of power that Galio can do. So there are kind of some similarities here. It's not exactly the same, but I am going to be so interested to see how this works out. You know, one of the reasons that I feel like Lissandra, though, in particular, has kind of fallen out of grace is a lot of people struggle to dominate with her laning phases. You know, a long time ago, they changed some of the mana costs for her. A lot of people want to go, you know, things like Proto Belt, which doesn't have a tremendous amount of mana in it. I'm going to be interested to see how he actually builds and how he sets up his runes to try to circumvent some of the mana issues that a lot of people do feel she has these days. Because if you can't get the push, you can't actually roam, and that can be one of the issues with Lissandra.
Absolutely the case. Top of my head, without looking at anything else, Tier is just a very good item. It's 400 gold for practically infinite mana. If you never go Archangels, it's still just a good item, and that can assuage your mana issues. Obviously, you're then not buying an Amp Tome or finishing an item, so we'll see how that goes in the line. But still like to see it. CLG on a 2-0 start to the week, taking out top teams with high win rates. Now up against Dignitas, looking for a 3-0 run. And though the Galley was banned, they did not pick up the Vi. They have brought in Lissandra. They have brought Lee Sin Jungle back, which nearly beat Cloud9 last week. CLG maybe on the resurgence, but we know every time fans get hope, like, it's not even for the meme value. It just keeps happening. CLG are so frequent to show signs of life and then stumble in the mid. On the Dignitas side, though, I'm wondering what's happening there because Yasui came in. I have not been convinced by the team since then, since week 2. And then as Dardoch got benched abruptly after Friday, Akane is not a bad player, but it seems like the team kind of lost some identity. Dignitas are, I think, on a 1-4 streak right now. It's a bit of a rough look for them. So CLG maybe can keep that positive momentum going. Dignitas are just on the way down.
Absolutely. I mean, there's clearly some turmoil on the Dignitas side, right? You know, it's most people, it's kind of the elephant in the room. You know, is it the attitude issues that have plagued Dardoch through a lot of his career? And when you get benched straight after a Friday game and it's literally announced as he is benched for the rest of the weekend, you really do kind of assume that there was some sort of issue or some sort of disagreement or blow up or whatever that caused that. So a bit of an abrupt change for Dig. They're obviously going to be looking to find some stability, reclaim some of the success that they were having in the earlier weeks, because with the Saligo and Dardoch lineup, they were looking strong, at least on stage. And CLG is looking to try to capitalize on what is a weaker Dignitas right now. We are into the Rift here. It's going to be the Corrupting Potion start. It's Electrocute as well for Pobelter. So we'll be interested to see if it's actually like Biscuits, Time Warp Tonic. You can go towards the Corrupting Potion start, base for things like an early Dark Seal, even grab another Doran's Ring, and just try to use the early itemization to kind of circumvent some of those mana issues. But CLG with a nice little level 1 here.
The hook, the pull back, Fake God chooses not to burn. Why flash then? You had 7 minutes to flash. You waited till you died.
Yikes.
Bruh, come on.
That flash sucked. Oh my God, he could have just instant flashed over the wall, like straight up.
Yeah,
as soon as he got hooked.
Yeah, I know Lee Sin Q is on him, so he's like, oh, wait for the Lee Sin Q land.
Lee Sin doesn't kill you at level 1.
Exactly.
That's all his damage. Yes, you do get hooked here. I love the level 1 look, though. This is kind of an old school CLG throwback where they were doing a lot of level 1 plans. Really clever stuff here. Finn wrapping around, Smoothie, flash hook. Right now, you just need to flash.
Yep.
And even if Lee Sin hits you with the Q, we saw it very clearly, it wouldn't have actually gotten the kill. Multiple autos came in from other people even before the Q actually followed through. So you insta flash. For them to kill you, they would then be looking to commit, maybe even the set flash on top for an if they can kill, and then it's multiple flashes for one. This is the worst case scenario, though, because he wastes his flash, he dies anyway. That is rough, but for all our Spanish-speaking friends, check out FlyQuest Spanish stream. They're doing their co-stream over at twitch.tv/FlyQuest. It has been awesome for the Spanish community. Thank you, FlyQuest.
Thank you very much. Shout out all the Jose Dioto fans, because I see you in Twitch chat every time. I see a lot of Spanish, and I'm like, cool. That's awesome. Keep supporting them. Sounds good. But it's not about them right now. It's about the fact that Fake God is on his way out of this lane for now. Finn cannot quite get the second punch or the fourth punch, but Fake God takes the W, hits him back with the grasp, and CLG off to a nice, solid 700 gold lead. Brox, of course, didn't get the kill, so his jungle pathing isn't any faster. Chooses to do skip chickens. Keep in mind, Lee Sin is very, very bad at chickens and Krugs to get the team out or an Iron Spike whip, so dodge the AoE camps, and he'll hope to finish red before Acadian counter jungles.
Yeah, he does have smite, so we'll see. Should be able to finish that off here, but it's actually going to be really close.
Oh, smite comes in. I don't know who got it right now, though.
It
looks like it's Broxa, yes. So he's wearing the red buff, and Acadian Q lands, but he has mid pressure. Without mid pressure, he couldn't have made that play, but because Yasui's there and not Pobelter in time, because he couldn't, that's an okay invade, just couldn't get the smite.
Yeah, and one of the things we didn't really get much time to actually talk about is the fallout of this first blood on the top side, because it went to Finn, so he actually got the longsword plus an additional potion to start, which means you can sometimes really attack the mana. Brock's looking for a wraparound here.
Flash pull, they're going to safeguard in, the slows are in, absolutely no way out. Well played by CLG. Re-engage looks good, though. The dive on a Wild Turtle flashes, but a couple more autos. Back after doing a great job setting him up. Smoothie. Oh, that was beautiful. The flash headbutt. Afro Moo gives Neo a double kill on a silver platter.
It's just too easy, dude. Afro Moo setting him up. And can you believe the double kill in the 2v2 for the Ezreal against the Kalista? This is supposed to be your dominant lane here, but look at them going in. And the problem here is all about target selection. Smoothie hooks onto Afro Moo. Great, it's an Alistar. And you can see Turtle stepping forward to hit the Alistar while the Ezreal is hitting the Kalista. And this is one of those things that you have got to be so careful about, because if the AD is free firing on your AD while you are hitting the support, it is always going to go bad for you.
Yep.
And bad went to worse as Afro found the combo onto Turtle as he's getting hit by the Ezreal. You come out of that, you're exhausted. There's no ability to fight back. And that is just a poor engage from CLG and expertly punished by Dignitas's side, because not only do they get that first kill, Afro sees the angle for the flash, headbutts him back in, and sets it up. And now, I mean, look at the Ezreal's items. Kalista went back and got basically a longsword and some shoes, and you got Tier Sheen.
Yeah.
This lane is over.
This is looking good for Neo. Well, I guess if you dodge every Mystic shot, or he hits minions, technically Sheen does no damage, but yeah, this lane is going to feel real
also,
as
if he
thing.
goes AFK, you know.
Also, yeah, if he disconnects, if there's a remake, hey, you can wipe it all away, but what did we say? We're going to this one, CLG looking for the 3-0 week, and hey, it is still a close game. Keep in mind, the gold is plus 300, plus 400 for that squad. Fake God, yeah, you know what, whatever. Fight him back maybe a little bit, take some damage. Maybe didn't need to take that damage, I don't know.
I like the TP, though, from Finn. It's an aggressive TP, but Brox is on the top side, and look where the wave is, right? It actually denies the ability for Fake God to fully reset the wave, and he's kind of stuck in this awkward position now. So Acadian is going to get called up, but the danger here is we know Broxa is here, and you lose this 2v2 as Dignitas very likely. Acadian, though, will face check. I don't think you want to take that Q in,
no,
but
he
he's
does.
going.
After that trade on a Fake God, he just popped the barrels as well, so that's looking pretty good. Acadian at half HP. Broxa, round 2, Q's up in a second. Preemptive flash by Acadian, has to kind of go early, didn't want to get guessed wrong, and hey, flash down, and top is It is going to go back now.
Yep. And while you might lose that 1v1 as the Lee Sin, you called it. Finn actually won it on the trade, and he had the move, so that pushes Acadian back. And, on the minimap, I actually did see Pobelter making the move up towards top as well. So the 1v1 doesn't really matter when you've got the support of your solo lanes. They have the pressure, CLG making it happen. And, Yasui, you're about to face check level 6, Lissandra.
Get ulted, Lee Sin Q lands, wait for the root, Q as late as possible, and an auto attack is enough. The second time in a row, a flash follow is not required. Dignitas dies post-flash anyway.
Yeah, Yasui, he walked out into fog there, but he had no vision, no eyes on where the Lissandra was. You knew that Lee Sin was playing on that top side of the map, so a bit of sloppy stuff there from the Dignitas side. Really good CC layering. The ultimate comes down from Pobelter. The Q is dropped there by Broxa. He's holding it just in case Yasui can early flash over the wall, but everything going really good for them. They're going to get the red off of this, and CLG is playing a nice, proactive game.
Yes, they are. Lee Sin's looking good. Brox has got his pickaxe that goes Iron Spike Whip or Tiamat. Probably Iron Spike, to be honest. But either way, that's going to help us clear as soon as that act is available to help knock down the camps in the AoE. Acadian feeling reasonably safe, top side, going to get himself a Scuttle Crab. Always, feels good for jungler to get that extra money, gold, XP, and whatnot. There you go, plus 98. And just going to take the recall now as he keeps on moving forward. Fake Guy just getting his farm. Top lane, despite the 0-2 start, one of them obviously pre-minions. Otherwise, it's been a couple of ganks. He's at least been farming pretty well. Obviously, the gold on Finn, though, going to be better since he's got those kills.
Yep, going to be better, and he's going to have those additional minions to pick up. But, I mean, if you can stabilize, he's got a Sheen. He actually even picked up a Call, so he's getting even more bonus gold when he does cash that out with the additional that you're getting from your Plunder. So, Fake God will be fine. That is one of the things with GP. You scale very well, but Finn should just continue to freeze this, just continue holding this wave, putting GP in an awkward spot, making him wonder, is Brox up on that top side? Because, they've done actually a good job of controlling vision. You can see up on this top side of the map, there's no wards past that line, really, for Dignitas. So Fake God has no idea. And anytime Pobelter is missing, anytime he doesn't have eyes on Broxa, you really have to sit back pretty far and play with respect, or you could easily just gift over another kill.
Yes, indeed. Well, minions knocked down under the turret. Bottom lane is 1 CS difference. Phage now done as well with the Sheen. So, Neo, that's components of Trinity Force, or am I really stupid about this and it's still Divine Sunderer?
No, it's I believe it is.
Yeah, sorry. My Trinity Force has the attack speed one on it.
Yeah.
I'm so used to 75 seasons of Phage being in Trinity Force, my brain will not unlearn that build path. That's truly what's keeping me up is the fact that I've built 700,000 Trinity Forces with a different build path.
Yeah.
And it's been a year.
Tons of damage.
And I just can't, and I just can't unlearn it. So
Tons of damage to your brain.
Tons of damage to my brain, It's Trinity Force, not even once.
It happens,
Yeah. All right, it's okay. We got this one, and Dignitas are still back in action as well. A small gold deficit, sure, but no dragons taken. Rift Herald, okay, sure, that one is actually on Smoothie, so we can take that one somewhere. But Dignitas looking to play aggressively, right? They're going to knock down the Sentinels. They're going to invade through the jungle. See that blue buff is gone. Neo, I believe, should have gotten the gold on that turret.
He did.
So plus 160 there. And Dignitas, with all the wards they've made sure they've cleared out, with all the vision they know Seal doesn't have, say, okay, we can take first dragon. And honestly, this champs would absolutely love ultimate haste. I think every single one really cares. So not a bad first dragon for Dignitas.
No, not at all. And I mean, they had top scuttle, so they should have had the idea that Broxa was probably taking the Rift Herald. At the very least, when he picks it up, you would actually spot him coming out there. And I always just like these little moves for even a pretend wraparound if you're not actually planning on going for the full-on dive. Afromu just kind of steps behind and says, oh, Turtle, but what if I'm going to dive you here? Turtle has to back up. You lose a couple CS. You guarantee that it is going to be a safe tower plate taken there by Neo. So these little threatening plays on the flanks can definitely pay dividends over on that Dignitas side. Would like to see a little bit more of Yasui and Acadian grouping up, because it does feel like that is kind of the core components here of the composition.
Yeah.
And we haven't really seen them play together whatsoever this game. It does feel like, yes, they've been on the back foot, but if that composition is kind of not really working well, it's tough, because Acadian hasn't super prioritized farm. You can see he's down about 3-4 camps to Broxa, but he also hasn't really gotten anything done as far as the ganking is concerned, and that is always a little bit worrisome, I feel, for Xin. It's one of those champions that, yes, has more utility than the super old one, because the ultimate kind of gives you that zone of safety, but you still want to be playing with some pace, playing a little bit from ahead.
Sure.
The fact that he is a bit behind. GP is pretty far behind. Is a bit concerning.
As Roll comes in, tags Turtle and Smoothie for a bit of damage, but not a huge problem. Last CS goes over, and CLG can move out. They hide in the fog. And they decide, all right, we're going to sit in Tribush. Are we helping Broxys invade? They're helping Broxys invade. Acadian seems to know what's going on. He's playing really passively. He's brought Yasui over. They brought Afrim over, but this could be a 3v3 erupting pretty soon. Controllwood comes down defensively. It's okay. A recent trinket came down. That means we know absolutely that was Turtle put it down. Not only can you click it and look at the tooltip, but at this point, the support doesn't have a yellow trinket anymore, so you know that's what's going on over there. And you're like, okay, so yes, Callista brought in her teammate. Okay, we know some information there. Back to safety, no one dies.
Yep, going to be playing that pretty smart. And they pulled over a lot of members also. If there was a hard engage there from CLG, they would have been a pretty decent spot to answer. I'm actually kind of surprised, I've got to say, that Neo actually, based on that timing, though, with the wave pushing towards him.
Yeah.
He had this under, so I think he's just really prioritizing getting the spike. But there's nothing to fight for right now, and it does cost you an entire wave, and maybe even more because now the wave will bounce back and actually deny some. So he loses the entire cannon wave here.
Yeah.
For just kind of like really prioritizing getting power immediately. But I always think you have to consider, like, what is the power for, right? If there was a dragon, I would have agreed with it. Because there wasn't, I don't.
Yeah, fair enough. Right now, though, a flash kick's going to put Fake God almost in range. Can Finn get the rest of it? The slow comes in. Second flash to follow. As Fake God's flash away could not save him. Ulti never pressed. Might have been out of mana. CLG able to chase him down and find that kill. Waves denied under the turret. And a convenient blast plant gets them all to safety as well.
Punishment on the top side continues. The early flash from Fake God. But Broxa as well as Finn commit their flashes. Warthog kick flash there from Broxa. He has really felt revitalized in summer because it has been a while of Broxa being pretty heavily criticized, even from his TL time. And then you're looking at spring on CLG. People are saying, what happened to the old Broxa? Was it just his team making him look good? As this guy didn't really ever have it? Was he kind of carried? And there was a lot of negativity around him, and it's been refreshing to see him really bounce back in summer because I do feel, despite the team actually having a lot of losses, even in a lot of those losses, he looked really good.
Yes.
You notably pointed out the Lee Sin game against C9, where he was having an incredible game, and yes, it was in a loss, but it was still incredibly impressive. The back-to-back bye wins have been great, and again here, he's on a really nice start with the Lee Sin.
It's really looking good right now. CLG coming back from a 1-5 start to looking at a 3-0 week as they try to claw their